Namaste. His Excellency the Deputy Secretary General, His Excellency the Acting President of the General Assembly, my good friend, the Special Representative of the Secretary General, Mr. Kande Yumkela, distinguished Excellencies and delegates. At the outset, my compliments to Kande for his leadership and commitment to this excellent cause. I salute him and wish him all the best in his endeavors as he moves on from the United Nations and from this very valuable initiative to pursue his career and his service to his country, Sierra Leone. I also thank him for this opportunity, for allowing me to share my thoughts with all of you. Let me say that India is delighted that the Sustainable Development Goal on energy has embraced all the three objectives of the Sustainable Energy for All, while highlighting the overarching importance of energy access. Access to adequate and affordable energy has a direct correlation with the quality of life. We cannot eradicate poverty, which is the overarching objective of the SDGs and the New Development Agenda, without ensuring universal energy access. In India, ensuring adequate and affordable energy access for all Indian people and doing so in a sustainable manner is an article of faith for the Government of India and for the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, personally. In fact, when the world talked about the inconvenient truth, Prime Minister, then Chief Minister of a state in India, spoke about convenient action. And he demonstrated his action and the outcomes of his action with his own initiatives in the state of Gujarat to take solar energy, wind energy, innovative ways of renewable energy to the next level. In fact, the new government in India is inspired by the ideology of its ideologue Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay, whose birth centenary we are celebrating this year, who spoke about Ekatma Manavvad, integral humanism. He believed passionately that the holistic development of human beings, development of their livelihood, development of their education and healthcare, leisure, recreation, moral and spiritual values, all of them are essential for the development of human beings. And in some sense, that is exactly what the Sustainable Development Goals and the agenda of the United Nations reflect. He believed very strongly that the service to society can only begin with service to the last man at the bottom of the pyramid. He called it Antyodaya, service to the poorest of the poor. And this will certainly not be possible but for universal and affordable energy access 24/7, which, ladies and gentlemen, is the mission of this government under Prime Minister Modi, to provide 24/7 energy access to every Indian across the length and breadth of India by 2019. Our energy challenge is truly huge. The numbers speak for themselves. We have 56 million homes, or nearly 280 million Indians, almost the size of the United States of America, who lack access to basic electricity. More than 500 million are still deprived of access to clean energy fuels. In that sense, just as in all countries, including the developed world, coal will continue to remain the mainstay of our energy-related needs for the foreseeable future. In all fairness, it would not be correct to say or to expect India to move away from coal while we are at the cusp of our developmental journey. Developed countries have built up their prosperity, their industry, growth, homes for all, jobs, better economies, better incomes. Their prosperity has been on the back of fossil fuel-based energy, which was cheap, which was affordable, which was accessible all across the countries, which provided the base load. While we do understand it's important to protect the world, to ensure a cleaner planet for the next generation, to understand the agony of poverty, to understand the pain that the common man experiences when he's required to pay very high costs for energy, is something that can only be experienced when you see what poverty is, when you experience how the people are living. And towards that end, I have invited the Sustainable Energy for All Advisory Board to come to India next summer, to participate in the advisory board in India and see for yourself and experience how critical it is for us to have universal energy access at affordable prices. Of course, the countries who have benefited over the years from cheap fossil fuel-based energy, I believe, will participate more proactively in these noble efforts to leave behind a cleaner planet, to expand the scope of renewable energy, to increase every possible form of renewable clean energy that the world can put forward. I believe this has to be a shared responsibility of the developed world and the developing countries. On our end, at the Indian end, we are conscious that this challenge is not possible unless we ensure adequate financing at competitive prices. We are redoubling our efforts towards clean energy at several levels. We are shifting to cleaner coal using ultra-supercritical technology for coal-based power generation. We are retiring all old inefficient plants with modern efficient coal-based plants. We are accelerating energy efficiency to manage the demand side of requirement. And we are rapidly scaling up and expanding renewable energy to move towards a cleaner energy mix. And towards that end, we have set possibly the world's largest program and agenda to expand our renewable energy capacity fivefold in the next 7 years. That is, we shall be setting up an installed renewable energy base of nearly 175 gigawatt of power in the next 7 years. On a personal note, I would love to see this happen in the next 5 years by 2020. And this will take up our output of renewable energy from a current level of 60 billion units to about 300 billion units, which will take the renewable energy output as a percentage of an increased demand from 1 trillion units which we produce today to 2 trillion units in the next 5 to 7 years, and a clean energy mix of about 15% of the expanded base from the current 6%. Further, to fully integrate this renewable energy into our grid, we are upgrading our transmission systems by setting up green energy corridors at an investment of nearly $30 to $40 billion. On a very conservative estimate, we will need at least $100 or $150 billion to scale up our renewable energy capacity to these levels. At the same time, we will also need nearly $30 billion for our energy efficiency program, which is expected to save about 120 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions per annum. In February earlier this year, February 2015, we hosted the Renewable Energy Global Investment Promotion Meet called Reinvest, which should now be an annual feature going forward, which saw an unprecedented gathering of national and international business and thought leaders, academia, and bilateral and multilateral agencies, and resulted in commitments of 273 gigawatt renewable power development, 62 gigawatt of renewable manufacturing, and 70 gigawatt of financing over the next 5 years. This demonstrates the attractiveness of India as an investment destination and certainly encouraged us to redouble our efforts to expand our renewable energy program. The challenge for renewable energy in India, as I mentioned earlier, is clearly affordable financing. The current tariffs are at about 10 to 12 cents per kilowatt hour, which we need to reduce to 6 to 7 cents. For that, we are looking at innovative ways to finance our renewable energy program. We are looking at introducing dollar tariffs. We're looking at sovereign-rated intermediaries purchasing renewable energy from developers and producers to ensure counterparty risk is eliminated, and we are able to get more and more investors from across the world to come to India to participate in this great story. This mitigation of counterparty risk with dollar tariff allowing people to leverage, borrow cheap in foreign currency without the risk of hedging, as well as allowing pension funds and investors to come to India for an assured, reasonable rate of return, we believe will help us to scale up this program rapidly. The government of the day in India does not believe subsidies can take this program to the level we want to take it. Subsidies can, after all, only cause distress in the long run, as is experienced by some countries in Europe. We urge the developed countries and the Sustainable Energy for All Forum to facilitate the flow of long-tenor, low-cost funding for developed countries in the days to come. In terms of energy efficiency, I would like to highlight our commitment to replace all the street lights and all the incandescent bulbs or the CFLs that we have in the country, and a country of 1 billion plus people, to LED lights over the next 3 years. This effort will help us to reduce the peak load demand by nearly 27 gigawatts, which you can imagine would be a tremendous saving in terms of the carbon dioxide emissions that is spewed out, particularly during the peak load. We have, in fact, one very good experience that I would like to share with you, and particularly for the developing countries, where we used innovative financing, economies of scale, brought about clean processes of procurement with high degree of integrity, and intelligent procurement processes in our LED program, which has brought down the procurement cost of LEDs by about 74% in less than 9 months. What we used to procure for about $5 for a 7-watt LED bulb 1 year ago is today being purchased for nearly $1.3 US for a 7-watt, same spec bulb, same technical parameters. I believe if the world was to take up this challenge of economies of scale and scaling up this whole program massively, we could even bring down the renewable energy costs along with energy efficiency costs and help take this world forward in a cleaner fashion, leave behind a cleaner world for the next generation. In conclusion, the higher cost of renewable energy and energy efficiency projects compared to conventional high carbon emission options implies that their competitiveness and replication and scaling up largely depends on the availability of low-cost financing, long-tenor funding, for which I do believe the developed world, which has over the last 150 years enjoyed this low-cost power for its own growth, its own prosperity, its own development, will share this responsibility and come forward proactively in a much deeper engagement with the developing countries, I would like to reiterate on behalf of India that we will work with the Sustainable Energy for All Forum and with investing organizations such as pension funds and multilateral agencies to enable mechanisms that provide both safe and adequate returns to investors on the one hand, and affordable and effective energy access to the people of India. In order to achieve our objectives, we have set for ourselves a very ambitious goal, and we invite the world to partner with us. This is an unprecedented investment opportunity, a unique business proposition, which not only serves humanity, but also serves your balance sheets. India has opened its doors for the world, and we invite you to participate in our efforts. Let us change the world for the better together. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Gayal. Thank you, Mr. Mimika and Mr. Gayal, for your special remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the opening segment. Thanks again, Mr. Im Nazar, Deputy Secretary General, and Dr. Yum Keller, for your presence and your remarks.